It has happened time and again. Just a year ago, July, a shooting spree at the U.S. Capitol building left 2 police officers dead, others wounded. The shooter was a man named Russell Weston, a psychiatric patient who had stopped taking his medicine. This past April in Salt Lake City, Utah, a 71-year-old man opened fire, killing 2 and wounding 5 in the Mormon Genealogical Library. His wife said he, too, had stopped taking his pills for schizophrenia.
35 states now have laws that allow relatives and doctors to compel a patient to take medication. In 1999, New York passed such a law, inspired by Kendra Webdale, a young woman who was pushed to her death off a subway platform by a schizophrenic who had stopped taking his medication.
When I was working on the wards of St. Elizabeth's Hospital, which I did for 8 years with severely mentally ill people, we have an outpatient commitment law like Kendras Law in the District of Columbia. And I would have a patient, say, who had been in the hospital 19 times and who had no awareness of illness, no insight into their illness, and I knew he, usually it's a he, women are better about taking medicine than men, even if they're not mentally ill. I knew that he had no awareness of his illness, and I know that each time he left the hospital, he stopped taking his medicine. And I also knew that when he stopped taking his medicine, he terrorized the family or terrorized the neighbors or got in trouble with the police or became homeless, or a whole series of things may have happened. So when I'm ready to discharge this patient on his 20th visit, I will go down to court and I will say, Your Honor, I want to discharge this man on Thursday on the condition that he must come back and get his injection of an antipsychotic every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks, or whatever, so that I know he gets his medicine by injection every 3 or 4 weeks. And, Your Honor, if he doesn't come back to get his shot on a regular basis, I have the legal right to ask the police to bring him involuntarily back to the hospital where we can put him back on the ward. In other words, it says you can live in the community as long as you take your medicine. That's all Kendras Law is.
Children who have a mentally ill parent may also be at risk for victimization. They are at greater risk for psychiatric and developmental disorders, and their parents may often fail to inform mental health professionals of their existence.
We developed a survey in Orange County. The survey was to identify individuals who had a diagnosis of mental illness and were being served through our county outpatient clinics, through our inpatient units at hospitals, as well as our intensive case management clients. And we found that over 50% of those individuals with mental illness were identifying that they had 1 or more children living with them in their home. The concern with this is, first, the significance of the number, but secondly, that these were just the people that we were able to identify in the system. And we know that there's a lot more people out there that aren't in the system that are afraid to get services because of the stigma or fear of losing their children to foster care. Sharon and Charlotte are a family in the Invisible Children's Program. They came to us. Sharon is a mentally ill parent, and they were referred to us by a local homeless shelter. At the time we met Sharon and her daughter Charlotte, there were a lot of issues in terms of her mental health, her stability, if she would be able to live on her own independently with her child and be able to parent her child. But with the intensive supports that we provide, social outlets, case management, coordination of services, supported housing, children's services, getting them linked up with the things that they need, parenting education, support groups, we were able to provide for this family so that they could live in the community and she could be a better parent. And they're doing very well right now. They've been with us for about 4.5 years now.
In the aftermath of victimization, family caregivers may turn to mental health professionals for assistance. They are often frustrated by a lack of services and the confounding restrictions on their right to get involuntary treatment for their loved ones.
The mental health people have to operate within the law. And we found a lot of people in the mental health system who were compassionate and understanding, but who themselves were limited, having to operate under the same limitations and that the rest of us have to live under. It's one of the battles that we're still fighting.
After decades of deinstitutionalizing the mentally ill, more and more law enforcement professionals are being pressed into service to do social work in the community.
Law enforcement are providing most of the frontline services now. It's not the mental health professionals that are out there providing the services in the community, it's the law enforcement professionals. Everywhere I go, I am finding around the United States that law enforcement officials, policemen, sheriffs, are acutely aware that they are being asked to be the frontline mental health worker. And what they say unanimously is, it's not fair, this is not what we're trained to do, this is not what we're paid to do, we don't know how to do it very well, why are we being asked to do this job?
The National Alliance for the Mentally Ill, known as NAMI, offers a wide range of support groups for family caregivers.
NAMI has been a tremendously important factor in our lives. Some people go to the support groups, but this has not really been our way of dealing with it. I think it was Dr. Fullatori has said that advocacy is the best therapy, and this is very real for us.
The Smiths are on a crusade to fight to change the system that failed them and their daughter. One of their chosen forms of advocacy is a hotline in their home.
We get a lot of calls on our hotline that we have in our house, and we have discovered that victims want to be allowed to participate in any decisions that are being made on the offender. They want to know where the offender is located. If he escapes, they want to know that he's escaped. If he walks away, they want to know.
And now I'll let you know what's going on.
They want to be they want to be allowed to offer a victim impact statement if a release is being considered.
In the mental health system, typically they are dealing with strong laws on confidentiality issues. And maybe that's one of the first issues that needs to be discussed amongst all those individuals is how do you deal with the problems of providing information and services when you do have confidentiality laws that may be prohibiting one party from revealing information to another party.
And of course we have Al and Harriet Smith, and everybody who's been here more than once knows Al and Harriet Smith.
Victims of mentally ill offenders need to speak up and let the appropriate authorities know that they want to be involved, if they truly do, be involved in any decision-making process.
They put a lot of effort into this and a lot of research because they're deeply personally affected by it. And I will turn the discussion over to you guys.